Woohoo! Hey, everybody. Louis, how you
Back
doing
at
today?
it again.
Back at it again. Oh my goodness. What was that? Week 10 of the books already?
We are weak snake eyes.
Said Snake Eyes. Here we go, coming for you. Week 11. Quite an interesting week. The league is shooken up a little bit.
It has shifted.
Everything shifted. Everything has shifted. I don't know if like 7 games is a lock anymore. There's everything's so tight right now. This is crazy.
Indeed.
Um,
Peter Rooney.
loving it. I mean, let's just jump right into it, man. You want to give us a nice little recap here?
Yeah, let's go recap here. I'll start with my game. I put up a whopping 82 points, lowest for the week, losing to Danny, Mr. Nucktown, 115 to 82. Coming in next, Galladay Inn. I believe they're holding on to that one spot. They won in like the closest margin we've seen last week, 106.92 to 105.38. We're talking 12 yard.
Yeah.
20 yards at that point. So it's or 18 yards. I can't do math right now. Prescott Sterling's taking down Tank Fatua. That was an impressive win, 170 to 99.
Yeah.
Circuit of Browns losing to you, Mr. Good Sir. You saving that loop for another week, apparently. You got you won 114 to 103. And then last but not least, too many cooks falling to the shocking Sterling Silvers. They were extra polished last week, winning 143 to 108. That was an underestimated win that we did not see. How many matchups did we even get right last week?
Last week, collectively, since we had guessed 4 games the same, we differed on the game of the week. So us together only got 1 game right. And, yeah. You guys shook up the league in such a way that I didn't even know it was possible. I got the game of the week right, prediction right.
Who was the game of the week? Who was that?
It was Galladay and the formerly named Gordo.
Did I not pick Robbie to win?
You did not. You differed on the game of the week. I know.
Darn, I was watching the matchup last week. I was like, I think I'm going to pull it off. I was rooting for Robbie.
I mean, had Tyler Lockett not gone down on that Monday night game, it probably could have been a different story. What a close game. Game of the week, living up to its name this past week. Loving it. I had a little fun. Not fun. What am I saying? I too was in contention to be knocked out during that Monday night game. Russ pulled through. MVP. Loving it. Dethroning 2 teams back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
This has been pretty exciting.
You're putting yourself in good position, brother.
Yeah, doing okay. Like I said, though, this league is very tight. We got 5 teams at 5-5. I think everybody except for maybe Dale is in contention for the playoffs. That last week, it really kind of knocked back down.
Yeah, to only be at 2 wins, that is shook. But 2 through 8.
Yeah.
Only separated by 1 game. So these next 3 weeks are really gonna.
Everything's up.
We are right there.
Everything's up for grabs.
I said last week we were on playoffs bosom, dude. We are right up on that teat, you know.
Mm-hmm. We're just
we are making our way down south.
Well, let's just kick things off here for Week 11 in reverse order. The game of the week. We're just gonna mix things up here a little bit. Recording time has been a little bit off tonight. We don't want to keep people up. Not to mention, let's just start off with the Gunslingers. These guys are putting up crazy points as of right now. They are number 1 and number 2 points for on the season. They're killing it. This game could just be another crazy high-scoring week.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. It looks like they're unavailable. Do-do-do-do-do.
Wow.
We also
Jackson
have a third.
saying, get your asses up.
I am indeed. And we also have, we're going to take another stab at transaction talks today. I'm pretty excited for where all this is going.
Can't wait to hear what Logic has to say about my most recent purchase.
The most recent purchase? We're about to find out, you know? Yeah. We have another week of transactions in the books. It's pretty interesting to see where this is going here. Oh, looks like I got a message. We're going to try to invite.
Josh, I lost you, buddy.
That was really weird.
Hello.
Oh, that was extremely weird. I don't know what's happening right now. But that's okay, right?
We're okay. We are okay.
So, was that the rest of your fab?
No.
No.
I got $9.
He's got $9 left.
$9.
Oh snap!
That's okay. At this point, I'll pretty much take whoever I can get. So
there you go. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Howdy.
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 I like how you got that hat floating right above your head.
It's like it's there, but it's not there. It's the illusion.
It's the pleats.
Yeah. But I'm still actually pretty salty about last week, Josh. Not gonna lie.
Hey, not as embarrassing as my game, so you can't feel as bad as me.
It was a pretty fun stat that Chet brought up. I had 3 players on my team going against Chet that he had previously dropped in earlier weeks. So
Yeah, that was a bummer.
that was a bummer.
Who was it? Was Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson, the kicker, Zane Gonzalez. I had picked him up. And who else was there? Oh, Jamison Crowder.
Jameson Crowder.
Crowder.
That boy's been on fire. Woo!
Yep. That was a tough one. Tough one to swallow, let me tell you.
I can't lie though. I was sitting on the edge of the very edge of the seat. I don't even think I was sitting down anymore on that very last rush attempt by McCaffrey as time expired, where he missed it by a half a yard.
Oh my god.
I'm still pretty salty that fucking Cooper Kupp puts up 0 points.
0.
It's a nice goose egg.
What in the hell is that about?
I kept trying to Google him. Like I was like, he's got to be injured or something.
That's what I thought too. No.
Nope.
And I saw, and there was 1 target until the 4th quarter. I was like, is he out? Is he not out? What the fuck?
No, what's going on?
He was just sucking a major dick.
No, Goff
I guess
was
Goff
was
was
sucking.
Goff was, yeah.
So by the transitive property.
Exactly. Math. Math.
Well. Is that a bathrobe?
That's my casual wear.
There he is.
Why not?
Sucking down a White Russian over there?
I should be.
Oh, there you go. All right, the
Mark
dude is joining us.
Microsoft
Dude.
blocked my account. They didn't want me to get on the media. Trying to take my platform.
Welcome to the media, sir. Welcome to now.
It's good to be back.
Good to be
back.
back.
Yeah, no kidding, guys. This is
Hey, Cat.
just a
Jet, you got a
Repeat.
creature on your shoulder there, man.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Wait, this could be
God.
good for me. This could be like the black cat on the field.
Whoa.
I'm the Cowboys.
Way to tie
They're the
that.
Giants.
Way to
me
tie that.
out.
Chet, you're on your wits today, man.
Yeah, that's good. I think I'll just hang up now.
And he's out. Great game of the week, Sash. Good job.
Woo.
Ooh. Well, this is a repeat game of the week, man. You guys excited?
Never been more excited.
I've lost all good feelings. This is the point of the year where I don't care about anything.
I don't think anyone has a good feeling bone in their body right now. It is before you guys came on, I was mentioning to Josh that 2nd through 8th place is all separated by one game. So it could literally be the 2 through 5 or 2 through 6 flip flop with the bottom 3. Oh, so you got someone in the background there just walking across.
My cat.
Oh, yeah. Meow.
Meow.
Hey, get out of here. This is our game of the week.
Hey, get out of here. Last time we had both you guys on at the same time, there was a lot of trash talk going on, and the fantasy guys were not happy.
We were young.
What do you guys got to say? You guys are the 2 highest scorers in the season too right now.
Highest scorers and highest projected for this week as well.
Yeah.
All
You guys ready?
I was feeling pretty good about it until last week, so I think all my players got it out of their system. Mike
Yeah, it's a
Evans
good
and
week to
Cooper
get it out of
Kupp
their
are going
system.
to go off this week. Fairly confident about that.
That's not good. I'm more
Hey, Eric.
just want to talk. I just more want to put a message out to everybody. I tried to trade Mark Andrews to every single one of you, and then I drop him, and everybody puts a bid in on him.
I went all in, baby.
You were all in for sure. I thought I had him. I thought I was going
I
high.
was like, I'm not even gonna leave it to chance. I'm just gonna go 40. Let's do it.
Louis wanted it all, man.
I'm tilting a little bit.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, so I pitched that dead weight. I pawned him off on Louis. Hopefully that means good things. My defense was on bye last week. It's hard to win games without a defense. So.
without the 13th best scorer in fantasy.
In fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. They played a real team, and they didn't do so hot.
Yeah, but that's fine.
They were also
They're in the
playing
thick of their
against
schedule.
that, and I think teams just seem to tank when they play me now, so they're going to be bouncing back.
That could be.
Yeah, why are you doing that, Josh? How are you doing that? I guess is the real question.
That's true.
It's that habanero heat, baby. He's on fire.
He's spicy.
Too spicy for your teams. I'll tell you what.
I need some of that habanero heat if you're going to make it through the rest of this broadcasting season. I just see more and more clothing coming out of that.
You see less hair too. Like just everything's too spicy, man. Shit, guys, I got a couple of bold predictions for you.
Let me hear him.
Cooper Kupp is in one of my bold predictions.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Hopefully
he
not another goose egg.
No. He's getting 3 whole more points this week than he did last week.
What?
That's
Briscoe
going.
just destroyed the Bears defense. I think God put it together.
3 points.
Speaking of the Bears defense, I actually think that the Bears defense are going to double the New England defense points this week. Only because of how bad Goff has been. What can I say?
Sure,
That
I guess
guy's-
that's in line. Hedge my bets with Goff and Cooper and the Bears defense.
And the leg.
All
And the
right.
leg. And the leg.
Shit.
Here's my bold predictions. I'll give Tevin Coleman some good vibes with George Kittle out again, and who knows about Emmanuel Sanders? I think he's going to be totally used. Yahoo's only given him 84 yards and a touchdown. I think he's going to double that yardage and a touchdown for sure.
I think Jeff Wilson goes for 4 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I'll take it. I'll take it still.
And then I'll move over to the Sanu Canoe. Let's get bold with him. In his last game, he had 19 points, 14 targets.
Oh, yeah.
Those are some good numbers, man. I think, you know what? Let's give him 154 yards, 7 receptions,
That'd be
1
another
touchdown.
because I also dropped Sanu.
Dude, you're just getting like revenged or avenged.
If I could have just waited like 2 more weeks on anyone on my roster, I'd be stacked.
No, that's not how you play the game.
You gotta wait. You
Gotta wait, man. Gotta wait just a little bit. I got one more bold prediction here. Too many cooks. You're gonna reach the 1,500 point mark this week. You're gonna do it.
What does that mean?
It means he scores 168 points.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
I think you guys are going to have such a high scoring week. It's going to be nuts. So I think you're going to reach 1,500. The first to 1,400 and the first to 1,500.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm assuming that means that Eric's getting the win.
I have him by a 2-point margin. Yes.
Ooh.
If I score 170 points and win by 2, I'm gonna.
You're gonna have a heart attack, man.
But yes, I do have Eric just barely edging this one out. Louis, who you got here?
All right, so you went Eric. I'm going to go the Circa de Browns.
Oh!
We finally got a split.
See, I picked him back up to keep the namesake. Got a big meeting tomorrow. Hope he doesn't blow it.
I like how he's still on New England's roster. Or he's still a New England Patriot on Yahoo. That's so funny.
He's not getting a paycheck. No.
He ain't getting paid. It's been nice having him out of the news. So
He's been strangely quiet lately.
Well,
yes.
tomorrow he'll be back in there. Tomorrow's his meeting with the NFL.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right after Kaepernick's workout, he's like, "Hey, while you guys are all there, I'll just
Yeah, while you're there,
I'll just come by.
Just get this out of the way.
maybe he'll be the wide receiver working out with Kaepernick. You know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Throw me the ball. Yeah.
All right, sweet deal. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah. Best of luck to you both. Love the robe. You really need a White Russian with you right now, Eric.
I agree. I got my V on though for victory, so I think we're looking.
V for victory.
DP.
That's not good because I got a tank on. Does that mean I?
You tank.
Oh boy.
Woo! All right, guys. It was a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
See you on the battlefield.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, game of the week. We got that. And a
Always
lock
a
here.
pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Guys, we really appreciate you putting some time aside each week just to come and talk with us. You know, we put a little bit of effort in this, and it's kind of a relief to have you guys stop in with us and just shoot some shit.
Yeah, it's I really like this platform because it's really like, you know, instead of everyone just kind of texting each other, hey, what should I do? What should I do? It kind of brings it to the forefront and has that brotherhood vibeness to it that I think, like, the predictions were always great and it was always reading material and people always loved it, but I think the video and bringing people on just brings it and elevates it to that much more fun. I mean, we've been doing this, this is our 11th week doing this, and I mean, I have never once dreaded it, and I think Josh can say the same thing. I mean, it's just fun, a little bit of time here to put these things together, and yeah, so yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Love throwing in some other segments as well. We're gonna give one more opportunity here. See if the internet connection is successful. With good old the original Scott. Kind of joining us here. Oh my God! It's a cat.
Whoa,
It's the cat. It's the cat from earlier. Oh. Welcome in, good sir.
Coming at you live with cat stats.
The cat stats, meow.
Oh my God! New segment name alert.
I love it. Oh, gosh.
Excuse me.
Well, welcome back, good sir. Welcome back. How you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is round 2. Obviously, this was planned.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last week
Planned on
was
having you back.
Yeah, trade deadline is done and over with. So
Yeah, we got lots of stats to go through now that that's done. We had another waiver wire pickup segment or day, I suppose,
Yep.
that just went through. You want to lay some more?
A new most expensive player in league there. I got some fun stats about that one there.
Love it. Take it away, good sir. You want to?
Yeah, I mean, I find it ironic because with Mark Andrews, $44 have been spent on him total this season. $40 this past week. $4 the first time. I was shocked because the fact that it was for a tight end, and
yeah,
I know I'll try not to talk bad about tight ends because everyone tight ends are absolutely the.
Oh no!
Just kidding.
You did it.
You sly cat, you.
You sly cat.
One of my 9 lives gone. So got a couple fun stats. Wanted to dive into some of those. I've been doing some research on who everyone's been picking up, how many times players have been picked up. It's been quite the year of waiver wars going on there. A couple of these stats I want to mention are some of the most sought after players in each of the positions. I think it's kind of a little fun and exciting. For the kickers, Brett Maher and Zane Gonzalez actually tied for the most pickups. Each of those kickers have been on 5 teams.
Wow.
Okay.
Throughout all these weeks. $0 have been spent combined. No one's put $1 on either of these kickers. But they've been on the most amount of teams there. Everyone wants them. No one wants to pay for them. For the quarterback, Christian Kirk, he's been picked up. He was picked up 4 times. A couple times.
You say quarterback or
Christian Kirk?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, Christian Kirk. Yeah,
Kirk has been picked up 4 times.
The
most out of any wide receiver. Some people have paid. Some people have not. $35.
Woo!
Yep.
Big money, baby.
Big $12 drop on them. There was a bigger $23 drop on them.
What an idiot.
And then the other 2 times, no one else has spent $1. They just waiver.
He's not for sale.
Wired them, and that is it. For running backs, I was a little surprised on this one. Ronald Jones has been the most sought after running back. Now, keep in mind a lot of these stats, in order to be picked up, you've got to be dropped. Just the most team rotation that's been going on. But 3 times he's been picked up, 4 teams that he's been on. $26 has been spent on Mr. Ronald McDonald Jones.
Oh, okay.
Only 91 points. Oh, that's not very impressive for running back wise.
And 19 of them have been from my bench.
Yeah.
Last week.
One that I was pretty shocked about. Mark Andrews, ironically, is also the most sought after tight end. And now this one came down to he was picked up twice. There were a couple other tight ends that had tied for twice, but he won the tiebreaker with dollars spent.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
So there you go.
The stat I hold proudly, okay?
$44, as I had mentioned. But you know what? He's scored triple digits. He's got 102 points to his name to date. So we'll see if he'll double that for you, Louis, in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Possible.
We'll see.
Send
We'll
the vibes.
see your breakdown with points per dollar spent on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't wait to revisit that at the end of the year.
yeah.
I can't wait to revisit my Christian Kirk pickup and
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love the next transaction segment coming up here soon.
Oh man, I better start Christian Kirk.
Quarterbacks have been funky. There's been some pickups, some drops. Not a lot of sought after. I think a lot of people have been staying with a lot of their go-to quarterbacks. Big standout, Russell Wilson, $17 spent on him. So he's
I'd do it again.
yeah, there you go. He's helping you out. Defense, I had a lot of fun crunching some of these numbers. Philadelphia, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams Philadelphia's defense has been on, but only $5 spent combined out of all those teams.
Is that $1 per transaction?
It was actually 2 transactions for $0, $1 transaction for one, and then a whooping $4 for the final one.
Recently, yeah.
Which is weird because they only have 70 points for that defense, which, as far as a lot of the defenses rank, not really good.
They were on my team when they put up a 36-point week.
Oh,
Loved them, and then I immediately dropped them.
That was against me. That was against me, I believe.
Yeah.
Goddamn asshole.
And for the other defense, for the longest of time, New England was the most paid for defense. It was on the book. by a team that's put up a shit ton of points. Honestly, I mean, you picked up New England defense, you are set. Really, the only way to defeat them is on the bye. That's the only time you'll ever take down a team with that caliber. Yeah, anyone who's facing New England, I would be worried. Most points put up for that team and for the defense. 177 points from New England's defense. That's better than a lot of quarterbacks. That's real sad.
It's better than I was going through some of the keepers that we had this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the paper in front of me, but that's more than half of the keepers that have been kept this year too.
Talk of the town right now. Maybe you just got to keep New England's defense. MVD.
Bold.
MVD. But just this past week, somebody spent $16 on Pittsburgh. So now they take the crown for the most dollared defense. Can I coin that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Most dollar defense.
Most dollar defense, yeah.
Yeah. So that's been an exciting one. So that's been a lot of your breakdown for what people have been spending and trying to break the bank for each player. I think I had a couple trades and stuff I wanted to talk about. This past week in the trade crunch deadline, We had a couple last minutes go through.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams and Cortland Sutton and Latavius Murray and Josh Gordon. That one was gone through by yours truly and Mr. Galladay in.
Right at the deadline too. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, that was like right in the crunch. With Jamal and Sutton, 6.3, and that's with Cortland on a bye. Latavius Murray and Josh Gordon combined 6.6. So far pretty even with a bye for one of them. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out. I know there's a big question with Josh Gordon going on if he's actually gonna take the reins out there in Seattle now that he's on a new team. And I think Latavius Murray was a big insurance policy going on for Kamara.
Yep.
So it's big going on there. Then we also had for one of the other trades, Keenan Allen put up 12.6 for Mr. Tanker going over there. Seemed like he's flipping his team, just like his ship is flipping over with where he's ending up. And Calvin Ridley and Melvin Gordon is who he tossed overboard.
Didn't appreciate that trade. Did not appreciate the Melvin Gordon trade.
Yeah. 26 points out of the combined, and it helped Mr. Nucktown get himself a win.
Yeah.
So that helped out there. Good work there, Danny. Danny's at the top of a couple of these stats here.
Ooh. Right.
Now, I had to reconfigure a lot of my data since all of my scribbles were for last week when things were cut short.
Recalculating.
I'm you know what? I feel like it was Epstein that was cutting in.
Okay.
I don't know. Conspiracy theory time. All right, so for some waiver wars. Carry on. Last week you'd spent $6 for Dallas. You got 4 points out of them.
That's sure it.
Yeah. Gordo had spent $5 for the 49ers. I got 10 points out of them, which last week that was kind of nice. He got a win out of it. He was able to hold on. Now one that I also do want to mention with Gordo, since he had spent decent amount of money on Edmonds. He had 54 points. I mean, not decent amount. He had $3 for it. So he had one of the best points per dollar so far we've seen this season. 18 points per the dollar. He's benched.
Benched.
Yeah.
Bench.
Yes.
Now, this last one, this last random little stat here before I dive into where some of our fab standing is at, or actually, I'll do that first because the other ones will follow.
Okay.
So, some of our fab dollars. Last time I was on here, where I actually was able to dive into where all the teams were at with fab. Circada Brown was at the top of the money board with $93. He has fallen to $32.
Woo!
Nucktown had $80 the last time I had talked, and he has $80.
All right.
Danny's saving his money for the strip club, I think.
I suppose so.
Don't tell Candace. Carry on. $78. Mostly because of this past week. You've dropped to $9. Got $9 left in your fab bank.
Yes, he does.
Too Many Cooks had $71 last time we spoke, and he's dropped down to $57. Formerly known as Terry, now known as Prescott Sterling, was $70, and now he is down to $22. Mr. Gordo, who is now Mr. Hooper, had 67. He's moved down to only 28. He's made some good moves. Myself, silver, 66 down to 61. Call me frugal.
$5 spend. Ooh.
Call me frugal.
Not as frugal as Nucktown.
The other doinker, also taken a note out of Danny's book, and he has not tanked his wallet. He has stayed $59 to $59.
Nice. Okay.
He also has tied with Galladay in the most trades that are going on. So he's got the most trades there. Mr. Woodsy, $55. Yep. You've also only dropped to 42. Well, so you've been using your money wisely. Berries and Cream was at 40, and he has since changed his name, Galladay in, and he has changed his money
Good night, buddy.
3.
Bye.
That's our new segment called Pillow Talk.
Oh, good stuff.
Now, it's funny. So, Galladay does not have the least amount of money in his wallet, but he does have the most amount of moves. 36 moves throughout all of these weeks.
That's very Galladay like.
It is. If I recall correctly, it was due to the Galladay Inn's manager that we had to implement a cap on the amount of moves that could be done.
Yep.
I don't even remember how many it was. I should have looked this up in preparation, but
I don't think he ever would have gotten to the 65 limit. I think maybe it was like around 40, 50, maybe even 60, but I don't think he ever went past 65.
No.
But I mean, he could always chime in and prove it wrong. Sure.
But
just in case.
I do like it. It's you know what? Always pushing the envelope. You know.
Yeah.
Always pushing the envelope. That's what you got to
do.
do.
He must be doing something right with those because he's sitting up top now. So
he is sitting up top. He's got a very different team, but sometimes that's what you got to do from beginning to end. Danny, Town, he has the least amount of moves. He only has 13, so probably why he's keeping on to his wallet. You know, we'll see if he'll be able to keep on to his spot. A lot of these people that you know, last week people thought were nobodies, you know, saying, oh, never going to get another win. Proved a lot of people wrong. So what's going to happen in this league?
Got him.
You know, people start sneaking into playoff contention, start, you know, jumping over other people's with most points scored. So, you never know. Got plenty of time left. Now, I did a lot of thinking of what would happen if all of the waiver wires that people had lost, if they won them. A little bit of a hypothetical stat, because I started seeing it when I was tallying up the most amount of fab dollar bet losses, or you weren't able to get. Mr. Woodsy, you're at the top of that. At 15, you've lost 15 fab battles, which
wow,
I don't even see as impressive.
That's more than one a week.
That's more than one a week. But don't give him anything because we all know that he's padding the stats by losing against himself.
I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could do that.
But we all know though that stat's padded.
I wanted to be the top of some list here, okay?
Yeah. Second place with that. Mr. Hooper has lost 10 fab battles. And then as I start down, Mr. Circated Brown is the next at 8. I think the most impressive has been Tank for Tua. He's only lost one. He's only lost one fab battle, and he didn't even lose. He put a 0. He just kind of threw it out. He was like, yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens. Now, as I had mentioned, I was calculating if people had won, where their wallet would be at. Now, obviously, there would have been differences in who they picked up, who they might have put money on the next week, if they needed a player, etc., etc. But if Mr. Woodsy had spent all of your money and won those fab battles, all 15 of them, right now, you would be negative $13. Mr. Cicada Brown, actually, Mr. Galladay, negative $7 with his fab bets. $30 were sitting in his wallet that he did not actually spend.
Okay.
Carry on. You'd be negative 22.
Oh,
Yeah, negative 22.
Well, I feel like that's my Trey Johnson bid, and now that I'm down to 9. So, yeah.
it's a good thing you didn't spend that money. You could put it all towards Andrews.
I still would have gotten Andrews.
If you would have, that Andrews bid would have been a little up in the air. You had your $9 left over. Maybe you would have just spent everything on it. Just put down the house, but negative 22. Hooper had $46 that he was able to retain, but if he would have spent it, he'd be negative 18. So we had a couple people that are going to end up broke, and Circada Brown left you for second to last because you have $65 that you had thrown out there on players you did not win. You would have the mob coming after you right now. Negative 33 in your bank if you would have. Any moves going forward would have been strictly waiver, $0. That is it. I think the most conscientious of their money is the Prescott Sterlings. He's got $22 left. The one fab bid that he lost, he put $22 up. So he would have broke even. I don't know if he was planning any and all of this out for how it's going to pan out, but he's got 22 bonus bucks. So
that high brain.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a little interesting of where people would be at if they had won a couple of those fab dollars. I'm not sure where their teams would have been at, if it would have changed where their standings were, either drop them higher, drop them lower. But kind of interesting to see how many people would actually be dead, broke, and stuck in the gutter for these last couple of weeks.
I agree. This was very enlightening. I hate that I've lost so many bits. Thanks, man.
You can always beat yourself next week.
Yeah, I plan on it.
$1, $2, $3, $4.
I lost to myself. Oh man.
Next thing you know, you're gonna. I hope you didn't make any self bets on yourself for any more peppers.
That is yet to be determined for this week.
Lou's gonna try to lure me out of the no pepper bet hole. I see you.
I'm also still waiting for Mr. Galladay to hop on and fulfill his 2-pepper bet that he had made last week against
my God.
myself and Eric, because I recall I put a little sticky note up on the calendar for Monday night to revisit and see who was going to win that matchup, and if he would go pepperless or if he would be going to pepper full.
Ooh, I can't called out, Galladay.
That's why he wasn't available.
Just throwing that out there for. I know we face each other again one of these upcoming weeks, so maybe we'll make
nothing.
A little more interesting and whatnot. Just keep that in mind.
Love
things
it.
are getting hot
Oh, really hot. It's heating
and spicy.
up. Like 2 habanero peppers spicy. Hey.
That's right.
Hey. Double or
How did
nothing
that
next
happen?
week. All
It's
right.
like liar, liar.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you stopping in.
Yep.
Laying down some transactions, some cat stats.
Yep.
Thank you.
Some cat stats.
Cat
Cat
stats.
stats, man.
Meow. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for
Of course,
stopping
of
in.
course. Gentlemen, as always, take care. And we'll see
Thanks,
you
sir.
we'll see you on the YouTube next week.
Sounds good.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, sir. Love it. I love it.
All right.
I also
Yeah.
love. I'm gonna just quickly do this here. I love how he's going Nucktown as well. Love it. Bring it, Danny. Nucktown is catching on. All right.
Ah. All right. I will point out I did have a technical scare there. My Skype inadvertently dropped. I had to relaunch it, but when I came back on, it says it's still recording. So I'm hoping it's still recording.
I hope so too. I hope so. I saw you frozen, and I got scared. I didn't know what to do. So-
Yeah, that's why I came back with the weird face because I looked and I was like, "Oh, fuck!" And but then it said it's still recording. I'm gonna trust Skype. It hasn't failed us yet.
And
It's giving us some scarage, but
yeah, I mean it's been interesting. We might change platforms next year. Who knows? Actually, no. Don't get mad at us, Skype.
don't.
We're good.
We're still here.
We're still here. All right, man. Sounds good. We went in a little bit of a different order this week, but we're on to the last 4 matchups. You want to take it away, good sir?
Yeah. I'll kick it off with the Galladay Inns and the Nuke Towns.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Let's kick it off with some quarterbacks. I've been slacking the last few weeks, so I tried to really get some cool high def stats for us. We're gonna kick it off with the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson at home against Houston. Houston is the 8th best defense this year to the quarterback, so it's going to be another test for Lamar Jackson, but he has been resilient. He's putting up MVP numbers. He took down New England in a game that we thought that was already written, but he proved us wrong. So here's some cool stats. So he's the quarterback number 2 on the year. He is 20th in passing yards with 2,036. 10th in pass TDs with 15, but there's a lot of ties up there. He has 5 interceptions, but here's where he is quarterback number 2. He has 106 rushes this year. I think the next best might be like Dak or Deshaun Watson, and he has like more than 50 rush attempts than them. And he has 702 rushing yards, and he has 6 rushing TDs on the year. Those are all number 1 stats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good for a running back. In the other corner, there's Deshaun Watson at Baltimore. He's quarterback number 4, so we got a pretty cool quarterback matchup this week. In terms of passing yards, he has 2,432. That's number 12. He has 18 pass TDs. That's number 3. 5 interceptions as well. 52 rush attempts. That's number 4. But it's like, I can't remember who the next best is, but 279 rushing yards. That's number 3. Remember, Lamar Jackson has 702 at number 1 and 5 rushing TDs at number 3. It might be Josh Allen, the Bills. I think he has more. He's like number 2 on rushing attempts.
Okay.
Advantage here. I'm going to give it to Lamar Jackson. I think I'm reading my numbers wrong. I think he's in a positive matchup against Houston, whereas Deshaun Watson is in a negative one against Baltimore. So I'm going to give it to Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Wide receivers for Galladay ends, we have Kenny Galladay. At home against Dallas. Dallas has been tough against the wide receiver at 31st. Galladay, however, is the wide receiver number 7 on the year. I took the averages. So for wide receivers, I focused on how many targets they're averaging per game. And he's averaging 7.8 targets per game. So to be at number 7, you got to have some touchdowns there. So, I mean, he's doing really well. Julian Edelman is in Philadelphia. They are 8th worst. I hate this. 8th worst against the wide receivers.
Yeah.
He's the wide receiver number 14, and he is averaging an even 10 targets per game. He's had a few games above 12. I think he had like a 15, a 14, a 13, and a 12. I think there was only 1 week he had, or like 2 weeks he had single-digit targets. So I mean, he is used, as we all know. So pretty cool there. And then the other corner, Juju at Cleveland. They are 22nd or 10th best against the wide receivers. He's wide receiver number 38 and only averaging a humble 6.4 targets per game. Certainly not what we are used to seeing from Juju. Obviously, the quarterback situation has hindered things. Mason Rudolph is scared, apparently, to throw downfield. And Juju, I'm sure, is getting a little upset with his position right now. Pairing that with DeAndre Hopkins at Baltimore, middle of the road, 17th best against the wide receiver position. He's wide receiver number 13. He's averaging 10.2 targets per game, so just 0.2 more targets per game than Julian Edelman, and he is 1 ahead of him. So interesting there. I am going to give the advantage to Galladay again here. I think on paper, Nuketown has 2 premium wide receivers, but I like the matchups, and I just like how many targets they're averaging per game. Juju has just been a huge question mark, and I think that might hurt. Running backs, Nick Chubb, newly acquired for Galladay or
relatively. He's still fresh.
Relatively. Right.
Yeah.
At home against Pittsburgh, they've been 27th against the run. So Chubb is going to have himself some work. He's running back 6, and he has 174 rush attempts on the year, which is number 8th. So for running backs, I looked at rush attempts. Alvin Kamara. This one's interesting. So he's at Tampa Bay. They're the 2nd best against running backs. So it's going to be tough. And he is 31st in rush attempts with only 90 attempts. I was shocked by that. I figured he would have been well over 100, especially with Nick Chubb being at 174. And we'll see. I don't think he's in my matchup, but Dalvin Cook is leading the way. I believe he has 201 or something like that, or 203
Makes sense.
rush attempts. So it's going to be a test for both these running backs. And let's look at Nuketowns. They got Melvin Gordon, newly acquired, at home against Kansas City. That one really hurt me last week. Thanks a lot, Danny. He gets Kansas City, who is the first worst.
The absolute worst.
The absolute worst against running backs. So Melvin Gordon's looking at a pretty healthy matchup. He's running back 38 on the year. And he is 33rd in rush attempts. So Alvin Kamara playing practically the whole year. I think he was out for how many weeks? 1 or 2?
I think it was 2, and then he got a bye week.
Yeah, so Melvin Gordon being out for 4, 5?
I think it was like 5 or 6. Yeah.
5 or 6.
Okay.
He has 86 rush attempts. He's almost been doing like at least like 15 a game, I think it was. So things are looking up for Melvin Gordon. He is trending way up. And then we got Breida against Arizona. They're 12th worst against the run. He's the running back 31 on the year, 109 rush attempts, and that's on a team that runs the ball like crazy between 2 or 3 running backs, and he still has 109 rush attempts. That's 21st. So I'm actually going to give the advantage. Again, I'm not going with the studs. I'm going with the matchups and sort of where they're at. Melvin Gordon and Breida get the advantage here. So Nuketown gets the advantage. Tight ends, Mr. Gerald Everett, great last name. At home against Chicago, they are 5th worst against the tight end position. He's the tight end 11 on the year. So for tight ends, I looked at targets, receptions, and yards. Mr. Everett has 56 targets, that's number 9th. 34 receptions, that's 10th. And 365 yards, also 10th. So he's right in at 11. George Kittle at home against Arizona. They are the 1st worst again here against the tight end position. He is tight end number 5. 57 targets. That's 7. Oh, this has to change though because George Kittle
He was ruled out.
is ruled out. That was not how it was this morning. So I apologize for the misstatting.
No, we're good. I don't. Did they pick up another tight end?
Yep, Jared Cook. So I'm not going to run the numbers, but they get Tampa Bay, who is 2nd worst against the tight end. So great pickup there. We saw him last week at 10 targets, 6 receptions, 74 yards. So very serviceable. With Drew Brees, coming back into shape. You might look to Jared Cook as just a reliable target to go to until he really gets his feet set. So advantage, man, I wish I had the stats on this. I'm actually going to give the advantage though to Jared Cook because I do not trust the Goff man.
That's fair.
Flex position, newly acquired Brian Hill, a person's name I had not heard yet this year until just last week when Devonta Freeman. Did he have some sort of injury that he's dealing with? I mean, I saw you bench him.
He's foot injury.
Foot injury? Okay. Yeah, so Brian Hill, the coach said that he's, the lead back. I mean, they don't have Vito Smith. They don't have anybody. Brian Hill gets that. Yahoo projected him 3 receptions, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown. I don't have any stats on the guy other than what he did last week, but he looked pretty good in terms of his stat line. So he could definitely keep that continuing. They get Carolina. So hopefully New England could put up some points. We would all love that if you're an Atlanta owner of any kind. He had 20 rushes last week, only 61 yards, 2 targets though, and a 10-yard reception touchdown. So he's in the mix. He's in a good position to get some points up against Allen Robinson in LA against the Rams. Rams are 21st worst against the wide receiver position. Allen Robinson, wide receiver number 17. I don't know how much playing time he's seen this year, maybe 2-3 weeks out of Danny. But he's averaging 8.8 targets per game, which is really not too shabby. It all depends on Mitch, how much Monty's involved with the run game. But Allen Robinson is the clear target there. So 8 targets, that could be a lot, especially against the Rams. I think the Rams are going to be up ahead early, and Bears are going to have to go to their number 1 wide receiver. I'm going to call it a wash here. Probably my first wash I ever called. I just don't know Brian Hill that well, and I don't trust any Bears player.
That's fair.
So we'll call it a wash, but I could see it going either way. Bold predictions. I did something a little different for this one. I kind of alluded to it earlier. I have Chubb and Kamara, both duds this week. I have them at a combined 15.8 points. So not what you want. That's like 17 and a half points a piece
Okay.
of your running
All right.
backs. I just don't trust it.
You just don't like those matchups.
Kamara has the most potential, I think, to go off just with his utilization in the passing game, but as running backs, certainly 15.8 points. And then on the other side of the ball, Juju and DeAndre Hopkins, duds. Combined 11.3 points I'm giving them.
Oof.
So score spread, I do have Galladay's winning by 5.
Okay, that's fair. I also have the Galladays winning. I have them winning by about 6, so that's a good call. Yeah, Brian Hill is a big question mark. I know he was very serviceable when he filled in at the end of last game, so we'll see how that one goes. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. I'll move on to my game here. First game I'm covering this week. We got Hooper's Hampered versus Tank for Tua.
I want to get on the name change game.
Try it out, man. So Hoopers, they're going to be starting Matt Ryan. At least that's who's in the slot right now for the quarterback position. He is QB 12 on the season. I switched up my stats. I did the opposite of what Yahoo has them ranked, so they're not like 32nd and then red. I actually did the opposite number.
Nice,
so,
the pyramid. Nice.
Yeah,
I should just do that from now on.
It's making things so much easier.
We'll do that from now on for our own sanity.
For real. So Carolina, they're 6th best against the quarterback. They get beat better on the ground. Matt Ryan, after his injury and the bye week, his first game back, he came back and threw for 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and a sack. But their defense, surprisingly, did a lot of the work, especially against New Orleans. Could not believe that. Hey, they'll take it. Matt Ryan didn't really get tested much, so it was almost like another bye week for him, another week to rest that injury. Like I said, Carolina gets beat easily on the ground. They faced Aaron Rodgers last week, who was very average through the air, but he had no touchdowns. It was 3 rushing touchdowns from Aaron Jones. So we'll see if Brian Hill is what they say he is and can fill in the role there. We may not see a whole lot from Matt Ryan. Excuse me. On the other side of the ball here, we got Kyle Allen going in for Tank for Tua. He's QB 30 on the season. He's facing Atlanta. I know he came in halfway through the season, or at least week 4 for Cam Newton. Atlanta, they're 29th against the quarterback position. They were ranked this way last week against Drew Brees, and they somehow stopped him. Maybe Kyle Allen can just get right back into the tearing apart Atlanta's defense. Who knows? He had a very average day against Green Bay last week. He had 307 yards through the air. It's very good. He's an average quarterback. He hasn't had more than 17 points, fantasy points on the season.
He's an average quarterback with CMC.
Yeah, with CMC. I mean, they're everybody's second fiddle to CMC, even the quarterback. So, he's only had one game. One game over 17 fantasy points, and with week 8, he ended up with negative 6.7. So, with Kyle Allen, you can get either end of the spectrum here. They're going towards the plus matchup, so I see why they're playing it. I like the plus matchup, and I think CMC is going to provide enough cushion for Kyle Allen to do what he needs to do. He's got a lot of supporting targets out there and wide receivers and Greg Olsen. So I'm giving the advantage to Kyle Allen. So wide receivers, we got Tyler Boyd, first up for Hoopers. He's wide receiver 31 on the year. Been having a really rough year with Andy Dalton, and they just had a quarterback change. They're going up against Oakland, though. Oakland, 27th against the wide receiver position. The change of quarterback right now, it seems to only affect Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon came out of the gates last week and just changed his entire season.
I picked him up in another league. I was like, I can't believe they dropped him. So I'm stoked for the Joe Mixon owner.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this brings life to Joe Mixon. I'm wondering if it's going to bring life to Tyler Boyd. He had an average day with the new QB, 6 of 8 for 62 yards, no touchdown. AJ Green's not coming back anytime soon. Sorry, buddy.
No, I've accepted it.
But we did get word that John Ross is back from IR soon. So we'll see how that affects Tyler Boyd going down the rest of season. As for now, Oakland has been easy to beat through the air. They contend very well. They keep it a very interesting game. So they get beat, but then they also beat the defenses. This could be a very back and forth game. Let's just hope it's more than Joe Mixon. OBJ coming up for the second wide receiver. He's wide receiver 29 on the season. He's facing Pittsburgh. They're middle of the pack. They're about 14th. Pittsburgh's had a very strong defense overall. And OBJ has let the fantasy world down this year. It's tough to say.
Yep.
I mean, he's
plainly put. Yep.
Yeah, he's only had one game over 13.1 points, which was week 2, and that wasn't like not necessarily a huge blow-up game compared to what we've seen this year. He had 29 points that game. Everything else has been 13 or below. It's promising. He still got 12 targets last game. Baker seems to be still throwing the ball, but it looks like Jarvis is becoming a popular target again. Kareem Hunt got involved his first game in 9 targets. Like, this could be a rough matchup for OBJ. So then we'll go over to tank for Tua. Their wide receivers, Keenan Allen, wide receiver 10 on the year. He's facing Kansas City, who's sixth best against the wide receiver position. Keenan Allen, sorry, buddy. But no, wait.
Where did he go?
You were facing Melvin Ford, not Keenan Allen.
Not Keenan Allen.
Either way, he had his first double-digit fantasy outing since week 3. Week 3, he had a 45-point week, and then he was just kind of single digits until last week. He had 11 targets last week, despite the terrible offensive game that Rivers was having. He's still averaging 9 targets a game the last 4 weeks. Kansas City has been better through the air than on the ground. I expect this to be, since the new offensive coordinator's involved and they're running the ball a lot, I expect Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler to get involved quite a bit here. It may leave Allen and Rivers and Mike Williams and whoever else just a second thought. So we'll move on to DJ Moore. DJ Moore is wide receiver 21. He is facing Atlanta. A nice 1-2 punch with Kyle Allen. Atlanta's 25th against the wide receiver. DJ Moore has silently been a consistent assassin, is what I have written here. I don't know why I decided to go with that. But 6 of his 9 games, he's gone for double digits, which have been 12.9 points or more. He's averaging 10 targets a game the last 4 weeks. Again, though, like, which Atlanta defense are we seeing here? Seems like the first game out of their bye week, they had a lot of Mike's secret stuff from Space Jam and just shut down New Orleans.
It's just water. It's just water.
I don't know. We'll see. I like the game here. I like the advantage play. And considering how Keenan Allen's Keenan Allen, and he could just do Keenan Allen things, I'm actually giving the advantage to tank for Tua in terms of wide receivers here. Running backs, Marlon Mack, he's RB12 on the season. He's facing Jacksonville. They're exactly smack dab in the middle against running backs. Marlon Mack had a great start to the season. I'm pretty sure that's what's cushioning his stats because he's been on a cold streak, fantasy-wise. He's had 1 touchdown since week 3. He's barely getting targeted. The last 3 weeks, he's only had 2 targets combined in the passing game. I mean, he's still getting a decent amount of carries, about 19 carries a game for the past 4 weeks averaged. He's still very involved, and Jacksonville's middle of the pack defense. I mean, it can go either way. He still had 83 yards on the ground last week. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Then David Johnson coming in for running back number 2. He's RB 17 on the season. He's facing San Francisco. San Francisco is third. They're third against the running back position. David Johnson has been somewhat of a wide receiver, part of the year. And you know what they say? You told me this last week. Play your studs.
Play your studs.
But is David Johnson a stud? I mean, as of right now, is he a stud anymore?
Well, okay. I will interject here because I do need to make a correction. Matt Breida is not starting. It is Kenyon Drake for Nuketown.
Okay.
I just went back and looked. I was like, wait, Kenyon Drake? So Nuketown's got Kenyon Drake in there, so could be a dud.
Could be. I mean, we'll see what happens here. I don't know if David Johnson,
as far as David Johnson goes, could be a dud.
Yeah, I mean, his last 2 games that he's actually been a part of, he's had 6 rush attempts, 1 catch, 12 yards total, and fantasy points wise, those 2 games totaled up to be negative 0.3 points. I don't know if he's a stud anymore. It might just be Kenyon Drake the here on out, just so he can get some rest.
Yeah.
I know San Francisco, they just got beat by Chris Carson on the ground for 101 yards. Kenyon Drake 2 weeks ago went for 162 total yards. But if he plays, I don't think David Johnson's the stud he once was. So tough to say. I just don't like it. Either way, we'll go to the other end of the ball here. Josh Jacobs, running back 10 versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is 28th against the running back position. And Josh Jacobs is steadily becoming a top 10 running back. Even if he continues this pace, top 5.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he had another 100-yard game last week with a touchdown. His last 4 games, he's totaled 426 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is another juicy matchup. Cincinnati's defense, it seems like they've given up this year.
Totally.
Oakland, yeah. I mean, if they go up through the air, even through the air, if Oakland goes up, they'll be running the rest of the game. So I like his involvement either way. Josh Jacobs probably going to be the most dominant running back in this matchup here. So then we'll go to running back 2 for Tank. We got Mark Ingram. He's running back 11 on the season. He's facing Houston, who's 9th against the running back position. They're doing really well against running backs. And, Mark Ingram has been very efficient, as we've talked about before in weeks past. He's had maybe 14 rush attempts a game, but he's capitalized on a lot of those attempts. He only had 9 rush attempts last game, which is a little concerning, considering the score of that game was 49-13. You would have thought that he would have been involved a little bit more to run the clock out. Baltimore's defense, they really took over. Even so, Lamar Jackson just had different plans. He shows he's not afraid to make his running backs obsolete. He's ready for that spotlight through the air, on the ground. Like you said, 700 rush yards already. This could be a tough workload for him in this game as it is. Lamar Jackson might just make him obsolete down the stretch. Given that information, I actually like these running backs better than the Hooper's running backs. So I'm giving the advantage to Tank. Right now, Tank is just killing it in these advantages. We'll go over to the tight end position. Darren Fells, he's tight end number 9 on the season. He's facing Baltimore.
He's got the most touchdowns, most receiving touchdowns for tight ends.
Yeah, he's tied for first with the most receiving touchdowns this season with 6. He's tied with Austin Hooper. So the Hoopers are going for that touchdown upside. I love his stat line from last game he played. Darren Fells' stat line was 1 catch for 1 yard for 1 touchdown. I mean,
Hell yeah.
whatever gets you those extra points, like extra 6 points there, buddy. Like totally cool. I see it. Baltimore, they're tough though. They just showed what they're capable of against Cincinnati last week. They just destroyed Cincinnati. They picked them apart. Let's see if Watson can, move the ball around evenly, keep the defense guessing. If so, I bet you Darren Fells gets involved. He's going to get 1, maybe 2 touchdowns this game. Jason Witten's tight end number 15 on the season. He's facing Detroit. Detroit's 22nd against the tight end. It's a pretty decent matchup for him. In my opinion, Jason Witten is a man that exists in the NFL. That's about it.
He is indeed.
He is indeed. He came out of retirement after last season. He was a broadcaster. Came out of retirement.
Mediocre broadcaster.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Mediocre tight end.
He always did this thing with his hands. I loved it. It was funny. But he saw the Super Bowl potential in the Cowboys. Don't blame him. They got great talent. So he went back, and he's nothing right now more than a safety net for Dak Prescott. Detroit seems like they're easily beaten. But considering when Randall Cobb, your wide receiver 3 on the team, gets more production than you, it's hard to trust. I'm giving the advantage, even if it's just for 1 yard and 1 touchdown. I'm giving the advantage to Darren Fells. Then we're going to the flex position. Curtis Samuel. We got another Panthers wide receiver here, wide receiver 27 on the season. He is the number 2 wide receiver for Panthers right now. But he has seen a steady increase in production with Kyle Allen. They've gotten a little bit more comfortable. He's had 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. There again, everyone is second fiddle to CMC, whose 23 points last game was undoubtedly a mediocre day for him.
He's projected 23 this week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mediocre day for him. I'm pretty sure he's going to get more involved. It's Atlanta. We'll see how these wide receivers fare up against CMC. Honestly, he's their main opponent in this matchup. So, Carlos Hyde coming in for the other flex position here for Tank. He's running back 25 on the season. He's facing Baltimore. A lot of investment in this Baltimore and Houston game for Tank. They're 8th against the running back position. Carlos Hyde, a couple of weeks ago, he went for 160 yards in London. That was 2 weeks ago. And then since he's had his bye week, he's had time to cool off. But he's definitely still utilized. If this team goes up, he's one of those running backs where they're just going to feed him the rock, 19, 20, 21 carries, whatever the case may be. Joe Mixon, faced Baltimore last week, and he seemed to be the only one to make any sort of production against them. So this could be a good matchup here for Carlos Hyde. I like the opportunity. We'll see how that one goes. For bold predictions, I will boldly predict for Tank for Tua, boldly predicting that Carlos Hyde goes for another 152 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. For Hoopers, I'm boldly predicting that Darren Fells only gets 13 yards, but scores twice. It just seems like that's the way it's going to play out. Let's see how it goes. I love it. My advantage here, I'm giving to Tank for Tua by 6 points. I just think they have the matchup advantages. A couple of key players as well. So I'm going to go for them. What say you, Furry Hat Man?
I like the Tanks.
Thanks for Tua.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Good, sir. What you got for me? I'm ready. Ready for it.
You made a switch on me as well, so I'm just trying to grab a couple of stat lines
Yeah.
just so I don't sound like an idiot. I was like, wait, I don't see Jalen Samuels. Oh, he put James Conner in. Cool. All right, I'm ready to go.
All right.
Yep. So Prescott Sterling against Team Woodsy. A highly anticipated match this week because Prescott Sterling needs a win, and he needs to win. I'll say he needs to win out. I think he needs to win out.
It will definitely help him. Yeah.
He's got the Dallas Stars on his side. Let's jump right into it. Quarterback position, Dak Prescott at Detroit. Detroit is 6th against the quarterback position, 6th worst against the quarterback position. Dak is the quarterback number 3 on the year, number 2 in passing yards at 2.777. 18 pass touchdowns, which is only number 5. But he's got 9 interceptions, the same as Matty Ryan, who we talked early on in the year. He jumped to 7 right away. Matt Ryan's only at 9. I remember that stat from earlier today. Cool parallel. Matt Ryan missed a game or 2, so maybe he'd have 2 or 3 more, but
maybe.
But as it sits right now, they're tied. Jimmy G, who you are throwing out there against Arizona. I see it. You got Russell, Hustle Muscle on your bench. Makes sense. You had Jimmy on your bench last week. At home against Arizona. Arizona is the worst team against the quarterback position. Jimmy is quarterback number 22 on the year. Quite different from Russell, number 1 or 2. I think number 1. Jimmy is 19th in passing yards at 2,054. It's a run-heavy offense. They got a weapon back in Emmanuel Sanders, who I'm contemplating starting. He's dealing with that injury, so we'll see. I might try to cash in on some Fab Dollar points. Christian Kirk out there, so we'll see. 14 touchdowns. That's number 15th. Only 8 interceptions. Pretty average quarterback. I mean, he could go off. I think he had a good week last week, if I'm not mistaken.
His last matchup against Arizona, he had 30
I'm sorry,
points.
against Arizona. Correct. I'm sorry, Seattle. He didn't do so well. 5 sacks, 2 fumble loss. Oof. But he gets Arizona again. And Arizona has been kind to Jimmy G.
Back at home.
Yeah. And they're hungry. I mean, they got their first loss, so they're gonna be looking back to getting the win column. Advantage, I got to give to Dak.
I understand.
Prescott's are matching Gallup with Mr. Dackey. Against Detroit. Detroit's 11th worst against the wide receiver position, so there's a lot of potential for Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb. Is it Michael Gallup? Yep, Michael Gallup. He's wide receiver number 33 on the year, but he has missed some time. He's averaging 8 targets per game, which is pretty good for a number 2 wide receiver on a team. If Cooper's not there for the long ball, Gallup is there down the middle, along the sides. I mean, he can play anywhere. A lot of talent, great young prospect that we are going to see more for the next, decade or so. Jarvis Landry in at that number 2 spot. At home against Pittsburgh, they've been 18th worst against the wide receiver position. He's the wide receiver 19 on the year, averaging 8.5 targets per game. I don't remember what you said about OBJ's targets per game. If you said anything, I think they're about even at this point, though.
Yeah, I think so.
But Jarvis Landry, there for the consistency. Smaller dude.
He's made more of the targets that he's gotten this season than OBJ.
Definitely. Other side of the ball, Chris Godwin, who has dropped to the wide receiver 4 position.
Oh no!
Oh God! Oh my God! At home against New Orleans, they are 12th worst against the wide receiver position. He's averaging 9.2 targets per game. That is great as a 1B wide receiver. 9 targets a game. I'll take that any day of the week. You're matching that, though, with Mr. John Brown. In Miami, nice warm weather. They're 14th worst against the wide receiver. He's wide receiver number 20 on the year. Only averaging 7.8 targets per game. But again, it's that deep threat that's really keeping him in. I'm going to go with the Prescott Sterlings on this one as well. I think Godwin's going to keep it close, but I think the consistency with Landry and the potential with Gallup just outweighs the Godwin Brown. For me, at this point in this matchup, I am so sorry, but I like your chances. I do like your chances. Running back position, Prescott's throwing out Ezekiel Elliott. He is hungry, and he will be this week. They are in Detroit, in the Dome. 2nd worst against the run. He's going to get the ball a lot. Running back 8 on the year. 178 attempts. That's number 6 overall. He's going to be used. Devin Singletary making his way up. In Miami, they are 5th worst against the run. He's the running back 41, but he's been trending upwards these last few weeks. Only 48 attempts. I really had to count down. The Yahoo app does not count for us with where they are at. So we have to physically count down. I don't know what websites you go to, but I physically count down in terms of stats. So 49th in terms of rush attempts with only 48. 2 weeks ago, he did have 20 rush attempts, so that's half his rush attempts on the year. I believe in those he had like 12 points, 20 points, and then last week he had 6 points, but against the Browns, but they lost someone. It was a tight one. He is used in the passing game. He last 3 weeks he's had 6 targets, 4 targets, and then last week was 7 targets. So the usage is there. I like him. I have him in a couple other leagues. I see the potential. As long as the Bills can get ahead against Miami, which is totally doable, they might just be running it out, and Singletary can see a huge uptick. Last time they played Miami, he only got 7 rushes for 26 yards, but Frank Gore has still been a vulture. Going to the other side for you, James Conner. Let's talk about him. He's the running back number 14 on the year. He has 380 rush yards and 4 touchdowns, 29 receptions and 2 reception touchdowns. That's all I could conjure in the minute before talking about him. You had Jalen Samuels in, who, if James Conner was not playing, would have been a perfectly fine play. David Montgomery, away at the Los Angeles Rams Coliseum. They're 22nd worst, so it's going to be kind of a tough go for David Montgomery this week. But we'll see, because he's been trending upwards as well. He's running back 19 on the year. Finally, we're seeing some. Yeah, right. I know. I was surprised by that too. I was like, oh my God, he's all the way up here now. 129 rush attempts. That's 15th. And let's keep in mind that he didn't see 20 rush attempts until a few weeks ago. Mike Davis, Cordell Patterson, Tyreek Cohen. Nagy is finally starting to realize that he has a phenomenal player in David Montgomery, and he is getting the ball. So I hope he's used early and often. Mitch Trubisky, as we all know, is terrible. I think the Bears should just go and get Kaepernick and have a day. Have a day. Why not? Why not?
Right.
Advantage here. This is tough.
I know you want to. Give it to him.
Yep. It's just
Yep.
the matchups, man. I'm sorry. You know,
I know.
second and fifth against 15th and 22nd. The potential is there if James Conner's healthy. I mean, he's using the passing game, so I mean that's a huge uptick. But I think Elliott is just going to dominate.
Yep.
He's just going to dominate.
Yep.
Here's some good news for you, though. I got Kelsey over Waller.
Oh, that's
there you
huge.
Darren Waller at home against Cincinnati. They're 18th worst against the tight end position. He's the tight end number 3 on the year. 65 targets. That's 6th for a tight end. 51 receptions. That's 3rd. And 58. That doesn't make any sense. I think I missed a digit. Hold on.
I was gonna say it.
51 receptions is right, but here we go. Okay, it's 588. I had it 58. I was like, what? How is that possible? 588 receiving yards. That's number 3 on the year as well. He's got some touchdowns to his name. 3 touchdowns, that is. Going up against Kelsey, the number 2 tight end. But here's why. You ready for this? He has 81 targets, number 1. 56 receptions, number 1. 741 receiving yards, number 1.
Right.
The difference between him and Austin Hooper being the number 1 tight end is that touchdowns. Hooper has 3 more touchdowns than Kelsey. Kelsey only has, I think, 3 touchdowns on the year. If he gets 2 touchdowns this week, he'll guaranteed be the tight end number 1 at the end of this week, for sure. Advantage, Travis Kelce. They get the Chargers. They're 25th worst, so not ideal, but Kelsey's matchup proof. The dude's an animal. Give him the ball. Flex position, Adam Thielen for Prescott's. At home against Denver, they are 30th against the wide receiver position. And with Thielen coming off of that injury, it might be tough to get going for him. So I have my reservations about him. He's the wide receiver number 24 on the year. And he's doing that by missing 1, 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So and half of a week, so 3.5 weeks. Only averaging 5.7 targets per game. I think that's wrong. I think I
Really?
I divided by the wrong number. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I think I only divided by 7. Let's try to do some math. 2 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 5 targets, 8 targets. No, it's probably more like 6, but 5.7 sounds about right. 5.7 sounds about right. Touchdowns. I think that's what's keeping him up kind of high. He has the 1 rushing touchdown, which is tied amongst all wide receivers. No wide receiver has 2 rushing touchdowns yet. He's got 6 touchdowns. So tell the tape right there. That's why he's in the 24th spot. Going up against. You still have Marquise Brown. Martin. At home against Houston, they are 3rd worst against the wide receiver position. So Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown could have himself a day. Wide receiver 35 on the year. He's averaging 6.7 targets per game, but he's got the long ball capability. So I look forward to see what the Ravens do this week. I think that's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a fun one at home for them for sure. Bold predictions here. This is what I wrote at around 12:30 p.m. Both Gallup and Landry total over 125 yards each. So we're looking at 250 plus yards for both those starting wide receivers. And then I did right here. Kelsey gets his 2 touchdowns and takes over as the tight end number 1 on the season. So you may have lost Godwin as a number 1, but Kelsey gets that number 1 spot.
That'd be juicy. Love it.
Score spread here. This was really tough for me because you have taken down the arguably top 2 teams in consecutive weeks. You didn't see that coming. You did not see that coming.
No.
And now you're going up against the 9th team in the league.
I know, right? Yeah.
And I can't give it to you. I got the Prescotts winning I kept it close by 1.2. It was It was so hard. I feel like I could have teed it the other way. You might have lost your juju if I did that. So I just can't. What?
Wait. Oh, it's back. Okay, we're good.
Oh my God! Please tell me we have some Monday night games. Oh, Kelsey, Kelsey, and you got to put a kicker in, bro.
I will.
Who did you have in? Did you have anyone in?
Connor was. I had Gonzalez.
Oh yeah.
But he's facing San Francisco in their last game. He only put up 5 points. So I'm looking. I don't know why, because he's going to be out for about 3 weeks. I don't know why Devontae Freeman's not out yet. I'm waiting to put him on IR. So.
Well, time will tell. Yeah, this was a tough one. I really like Prescott Sterling this week. They just had a 170-point week last week. They have practically the same team going out there. So
I'm putting up
minus Derrick Henry. Oh, I wanted to bring up Derrick Henry because the hate that you have for him, you do not have to worry about him. You will not play him. So rest assured, we have a Derrick Henry. We have no Derrick Henry flukes this week for Prescott's to rely on. But I still like them.
Honestly, I think that...
But it's tough, man. We like Chet's team. We like Derek's team going against you, but you're just playing so hot right now, and it's tough. But you got no Russell Wilson.
Nope.
I feel like that could be the difference, is that you don't have the 50 points from Russell to really. I
like my matchups. I agree. Russell has been he's been a dark horse for me most of the season. It's been great. Don't have that potential. Don't have that possibility. I do like some of my matchups. There again, though, I'm banking on some very very big boom plays.
Boom!
Boom! And honestly, like you were saying, those Cowboys are scary. When they have a good game, they all have a good game. So
yeah.
I agree. I have Prescott Sterling's winning as well. I think some of my matchups help me keep the score close, but I'm losing by 3 in my projections here.
Yeah, I left it close because just the vibes your team has been doing. Team Woodsy is out of the woods.
For now.
They are
go back.
they are drudging. It's going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to this matchup, and borderline game of the week for me, for sure. I really like this one. If it wasn't a Chet and Eric showdown rematch, this was I think number 2. So
absolutely, I absolutely agree. Those Cowboys put it out of contention for me for game of the week, but otherwise it's going to be a really close game. So we'll see how it goes. Moving on.
That is some lucky lube you got there.
It's gonna hold on to it.
What brand is that? I might need to go to Walgreens and pick me up some.
Guys, Astroglide, just glide right past these opponents, I guess. I don't know.
Glide right in there. Oh boy.
So we'll go on to the last matchup
Never gonna
here.
catch me.
You ain't gonna catch me.
You're never gonna catch me. That's you.
Can't do that.
That's who you are.
I'm the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy right now. You're never gonna catch me. Oh my God! Yeah, you broke me. You broke me. Holy shit!
Woo! I found out your secret.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So going on to the very last matchup here. Carry on my wayward son. Boom. Going up against the ever surprising Silver Sterlings. Ever surprising. They have surprised us on more than one occasion. And they have bounced their way back to, I think, the 6th spot after being 9th just 2 weeks ago. They're climbing. They're ready. They're on the move. So let's see how this fares. We got Drew Brees. Drew Brees, quarterback, 31 on the season. Yes, he's been out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, is it better than Mitchell Trubisky?
No, I was going to bring that up.
Damn.
Granted, Flacco has also not played very much lately, but Drew Brees is above Flacco,
Yes.
but he has fallen because of this last week's performance. Fantasy-wise, he has fallen just below Mitch Trubisky. Still, though, we'll see how this goes.
Not bad for only playing 4 weeks.
Yeah, for real. He's had some very boom weeks. 5 weeks, maybe?
Sorry, 3 weeks, because week 2 was a negative 0.48 point or game.
Oh, yeah, that was the week he went out, right? Okay.
Yep.
Let's see here. He's going up against Tampa Bay. They are 30th against the quarterback position. Granted, he just played Atlanta, who was like 31st. Last week, I think they were rated 31st against the quarterback position, and all of a sudden they stepped up their game. They got in his face. Like, what happened? I don't think Tampa Bay is that way. We've seen him the past couple of weeks. So you saw him last week because he had to play Kyler Murray, who just went up against them. Kyler Murray threw up 324 yards, 3 touchdowns against Tampa Bay. I don't know. I don't know what happened last week, but he still threw for 45 passes. He did not have an interception. If that helps you feel better, he threw for 280 yards.
Nothing helps me feel better about last week.
He did throw for 280. He did get his bonus, but he didn't have the touchdowns to back him up. He's got all of his weapons.
5 sacks.
Yeah, okay, 5 sacks. Yeah, that's the problem there. But he does have all of his weapons back. We were just talking about Jared Cook earlier. He's got Kamara back. Hopefully Kamara has a bigger role this week at full health. Allegedly he's back at full health. So we'll see how this one goes. It's great on paper. I hope the best for them. I have Kamara in another league, so I hope the best for them. Also, if New Orleans puts up a game, that means Chris Godwin has to get involved a little bit more. So, bring it on.
Yep.
Come on, Drew.
Let's bring it.
Come on.
Bring it, Drew. Come on, man.
So, Patrick Mahomes coming up for Silver Sterlings. He's quarterback number 5 on the season. He is facing the Chargers. They are 8th against the quarterback position. They are top 8. Patrick Mahomes, he just went for 446, 3 touchdowns last week. He was throwing to any and all positions. He was throwing to the tight end. He was throwing to the running back. He threw to 3 different receivers. I saw Sammy. I saw McCole Hardman. I saw, of course, Tyreek Hill getting involved. And I don't know if anybody saw. I'm sure we've seen the replays of that hop throw that he had to McCole Hardman. It just shows that his dislocated knee is feeling a whole lot better.
It is located. They have found it.
They found it. It's back in the right spot. The Chargers, Chargers offense struggled immensely against Oakland, but their defense kind of kept them in the game, in contention. So did the running game. So this could prove to be a tough outing, but Mahomes looking, at least from last week, he's looking matchup proof again. He's got all of his weapons back to full health, and everybody's ready to go. So this one's tough. Like, I know you have the better matchup.
Do it. Just
And I'm
do
actually
it.
no,
man.
no. I'm going to give the advantage to Drew Brees here. I think he bounces back. We saw him come off the week from his injury and go for 36 points. I don't know what happened last week, but I'm sure they had a little sit down with the coach.
Sean Payne was like, Brees, do you want the touchdown record or not?
Right? So I'm sure he's going to bounce back. I'm actually going to give the advantage because of the matchup. They essentially have the same weapons, too. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to give this one to Drew Brees. So, wide receivers. Oh, God, I love your wide receivers, guys. Absolutely love everything about them.
This is
Amari
a scary
Cooper.
one.
Wide yeah, very scary.
It's scary for me because both quarterbacks in this league, top receivers for those quarterbacks are both sitting in Silver Sterling's lineup,
Yep.
and I am scared.
Well, let's not count you out because Amari Cooper. He is wide receiver number 3 on the season. Okay, he's just incredible. As it is, you know, he's been on and off the injury list for multiple weeks. He just went for 147 yards and a touchdown, where he was not feeling 100%. He popped up. He did not practice today, is what I saw. But I'm sure it was just a rest day for the veteran. He's going to do just fine. Even though it was only for 173 yards, Mitch Trubisky threw for 3 touchdowns against Detroit. Detroit's middle of the pack against wide receivers, but Dak's going to make them just drop some drop further down because Dak is great. Amari Cooper is great. He's a stud. And, you know, everybody gets involved in that offense, but Cooper is the main guy through the air. Julio Jones. Julio Jones coming in for number 2 for you. He's wide receiver number 8 on the season. He's going up against Carolina. They are the 22nd against wide receivers. This is probably the most consistent season I have seen Julio play in a long time.
Yep.
He's only had 2 weeks of 9 or less targets. He's had only 3 weeks that were lower than 12.1 fantasy points. They will be without Hooper. They will be without Freeman. And Sanu was recently shipped off to New England. Yes, Brian Hill's expected to do stuff, but let's be real here. Julio Jones is Julio Jones. This is a great 1-2 wide receiver lineup here for you. And like you were talking about, we'll go to the other end of the ball here. Tyreek Hill coming in for wide receiver number 1. Silver Sterling's arguably one of the players that have kept Silver Sterling's afloat through the troubled seasons where Pat Mahomes was sitting down, because Tyreek Hill was still productive, even with a backup quarterback. He's a wide receiver 16 on the season, which is incredible because he had 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
16. He's just behind in the rankings. He's just behind Julian Edelman and Cortland Sutton. And he was out for 4 weeks. Incredible.
That's crazy.
They do have the tough matchup against the Chargers. But this dude is involved. He had 19 targets last week. He went for 11 for 157 and a touchdown. He's looking to be the same matchup-proof player that he once was, and a QB-proof player as well. It doesn't matter who's throwing to him. It looks like Matt Moore found him easily. He's just a really quick dude.
Mhm.
Somebody who's not necessarily as quick as Tyreek Hill, but is just as productive, just as QB-proof as we saw him with Bridgewater earlier in the season. Michael Thomas. My God, number 1 on the year. Michael Thomas is arguably, no, he is, paired with Tyreek Hill, the reason this team is afloat for sure. Like, he's going up against Tampa Bay. Yes, he's the number 1 wide receiver for your quarterback here. And he just went for 13 catches, 152 yards last matchup. All season long, he has not dropped below 13.9 fantasy points every single game. He is the most consistent and best receiver of 2019, overcoming so much adversity. Love this wide receiver. I am honestly calling this a wash. You guys have such powerful wide receivers right now with just the right matchups where I think this is going to be a wash. And I'm actually going to touch upon everybody here in the wide receiver position again in just a little bit. So we're going to move on to the running back position. Austin Eckler, he's still hanging on to the running back 5 position. He's hanging on, man. Hanging on.
He's right there, baby.
Gordon's moving in on the territory, but he said, "I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck." Kansas City, they are the absolute worst against running backs. Like I said, Chargers had a really rough week last week in terms of their offense. How many sacks? 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. This was all on Rivers. The new offensive coordinator, he loves to run the ball. Excuse me. So Gordon definitely getting involved, definitely taking away some rushes. He is still utilized, though. He saved his day with a touchdown last week. I think he's going to get rushes again. The only thing that's been concerning for me is the amount of targets that he's had week to week. Just the past 4 weeks. I don't know why I've been doing this for all of these, but I've just stuck with the past 4 weeks. I don't know why. But the past 4 weeks, he started with 8 targets 4 weeks ago. Then he went to 3, 4, and 2. That's where he's made most of his impact throughout the season, when Gordon was holding out. So he really needs to get involved in that again, or at least get a couple more rushes, because this is prime spot for him to keep with it. Todd Gurley, he's running back number 21 on the season. He's holding his own. He's been having a rough season here and there. They're facing Chicago. They're 22nd against the run. But that offense, man, what is going on? The offense is struggling. They did not score a single offensive touchdown last week. They had a field goal, a defensive touchdown, and a safety. That's how they got their 12 points. I need to see some production from every part of that offense, which I don't know if it's going to happen. Gurley gets double-digit carries week to week, which is still good for you. But he only has 6 targets combined in his last 3 weeks. He did not see the ball at all in the fourth quarter this past game. Chicago still sucks against the run, though. That's the silver lining here. They faced Detroit last week, and Detroit doesn't have a lead back. They don't really have much in terms of running whatsoever, but they still allowed 98 yards on the ground. So count your lucky stars that this could possibly be a good week for Gurley as long as he gets the rock. Coming in for the Silver Sterlings, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's running back 30 on the season. As we talked about, he's at least last week alone, he showed some progress with a new quarterback behind center. They're facing Oakland. Oakland is 21st against the run. He's in a game. In the game last week where they didn't really stand a chance. They lost 49-13. He still touched the ball 32 times and had a total of 151 yards. And he ran for 30 rushes in a game where they didn't stand a chance. So hey man, that's showing that they trust him. They still got trust in him. 151 total yards. It's more than his last 3 games combined. So I think they're just going to him for either protecting the new quarterback or just trying to make things happen. Whatever the case, he's involved. Oakland just allowed Gordon and Eckler to go crazy. So Mixon has a shot to really capitalize on this. James White coming in for the next running back position here. He's running back 32 on the season. He's facing Philly. Philly.
9-point hero.
9-point hero. Not for real, though. Philly's 7th against the run. They've been pretty solid most of the season against the run. And yeah, the most consistent running back, except for the last week he played. He threw it all away for 15 points. How dare you?
I would like to point out that this is the 5th year anniversary of Mr. Jonas Gray's 201 rushing yard and 4 touchdown game. And so be wary of any non-starting New England running back. You can probably start whoever's on their practice squad this week.
You got it. So this is going to be Rex Burkhead's day, is what you're saying.
Could be.
Philly has been exceptionally good against the run this season. They've held running backs like Dalvin Cook, Zeke, and Lev Bell in check most of the season. I think it was the one that surprised me the most was David Montgomery went for 20 some odd points against them, but who saw that coming? Like, for real. James White, Mr. Consistent. He's more of a pass back, but he still gets rushes. I don't think he goes for another 15. I think he goes back to being consistent.
Smooth 9.
Which makes this running back matchup very difficult. Because if Joe Mixon continues to get the volume that he did last week against a team that just allowed Gordon and Eckler to go crazy, and Eckler himself is going against the worst run defense, just everything that we covered here, or everything that I just covered, I'm actually going to give this one a wash too. I'm washing a lot of these players here because there's just so much that can go about the same here.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. It is tough. It is scary, man.
It is. It really is. We're going to start to break away a little bit from here on out. Tight end position, Mark Andrews. He is the tight end number 4 on the season. He is facing Houston, who is 8th against the tight end position, but they're letting things fly through the air for both the quarterback and the wide receiver position. I consider Mark Andrews more of a wide receiver. He's more on the level of Travis Kelce this season, where he will find an opportunity, not just being a tight end, just being a reliable receiving candidate. He's had 3 games of 99 receiving yards or more. He's had 5 touchdowns this season. He's been a phenomenal player. Very phenomenal player. He had 1 game, less than 7 targets. He is a very popular target of Lamar Jackson. I think rest of season, $40 was a good purchase. Now,
we'll see, man. We'll see.
If you somehow drop him in the next couple of weeks, I will question all of your methods.
It would only be if Evan Ingram comes back miraculously.
Drop him now.
Drop him.
So he's going up against Eric Ebron. Ebron is the tight end 16. He's going against Jacksonville, middle of the pack against tight ends. Holy backup quarterback, Batman. Brian Hoyer all of a sudden made Eric Ebron relevant again. Hoyer threw 39 times in the last game with Brissett out, and 12 of them went to Eric Ebron. He was a huge safety net for Brian Hoyer. He's a huge touchdown-dependent tight end. He's only had 2 games this season of over 50 yards or more. 50 yards or more. Brissett was a full participant in practice today, so I don't know if it was just Brian Hoyer that really loved Ebron, or if he's getting involved again in the offense. But if Brissett comes back and he doesn't throw to Ebron, this is looking like just an easy cakewalk for Mark Andrews. I'm actually giving him the advantage. This is where we're starting to break away here. Now, Emmanuel Sanders is coming up for your flex. He's wide receiver 22.
I mean, he's still a question mark at this point. We'll see. I truly don't know with his.
We'll see. If he's healthy and he plays, if he's healthy enough, I can see him getting just 60 yards at the very least here. This dude is a beast. We saw him come back from an Achilles injury at the end of last season, and he said, "Whatever, dude. I don't care. I'm coming back earlier than expected," and he just was amazing. He has been amazing. He is clearly the favorite wide receiver of Jimmy Garoppolo. George Kittle is already officially ruled out for this game.
Hmm.
If by chance he's feeling good enough for it, Arizona's not going to really hold him that much in check. He's only been with the team 2.5 games, already has 2 touchdowns. If he's good enough, if he's healthy enough, I think he's going to be good. Cortland Sutton is coming in for the other flex. He's wide receiver.
We get a
Yeah.
Sanders Sutton matchup. That's cool.
Yep, Sanders Sutton matchup. Wide receiver 15 versus Minnesota. They are 26th against the wide receiver. And he's taking over. Like I have my very first sentence here. Taking over for Sanders as the number 1. He has to deal with a new quarterback. So Flacco's gone down. It's been very interesting to see where that's been going. Their first game together, he had 56 total yards with the new quarterback. One of those was a 21-yard touchdown catch. So he still had good fantasy production. Minnesota's defense, they seem to allow a lot through the air, but they bring a lot of the pressure to the quarterback position. You know, they've had 29 sacks this season. They've had 15 takeaways on the season. So I expect a lot of pressure on the new guy. This could cause a lot of problems. I'm giving the flex advantage to you.
Man, you're so kind.
Which, if we're keeping track here, that means I have given you the quarterback, the tight end, and the flex advantages, which means I have you winning this game overall by 4 points. I have to say, though, it's going to be a tight one for my bold predictions. My bold predictions are going to involve all the wide receivers and all the running backs.
And all the King's horses and all the King's men.
All the King's men. Bold prediction for the running backs here. Bold prediction. All 4 running backs in this game combined will go for no more than 39 fantasy points.
Combined. So
Combined.
less than 10 points each.
I mean, hey, Eckler could have 20 points, and that means everybody else has to have like 5 points or less. That's just the way. That's just the way I'm seeing this go.
I like it. I like it.
The other one, wide receivers, and I'm not counting. I know you guys have wide receivers in your flex. I'm not counting the flex position here. I'm just counting the big 4 right now: Cooper, Julio, Tyreek, and Michael Thomas. All of those guys are going to go combined for 115 fantasy points. That's going to make things really interesting.
Okay.
I think.
I thought you were going to say 200, and I was like, dude, 50 points.
No.
Player.
115.
115. I like that.
I think that each and every one of them is going to have a fantastic day, and they're gonna break the bank here. 115 fantasy points. I have a mega bold prediction for this game here. Seeing as how you both are on the cusp. Whoever loses this game is going to end up in the Sackwood tournament. With 2 weeks left, whoever's going to lose this game, they're not going to claw their way back. It's done.
Oh, no.
So, I know there's a possibility, too. If either of you lose, I know there's the possibility that you can come back. But my mega bold is whoever loses, it's done. You ain't coming back. So, best of luck to you guys.
That's pressure. That's pressure.
Add some pressure there. All right, Louis, who you got for your game here? Who you got winning?
I'm going to be tried and true, and I'm going to keep picking myself.
Keep picking yourself. I like it. I like it a lot. This means that we actually we differed on the game of the week again. and only the game of the week.
Where are we at? Where are we at in those standings? I don't recall.
I am 30 for 50. You are 29 for 50. So I mean, we could even back up here if our game of the week is different. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right, all is fair. All is well.
All's fair. Man, all's fair in love and war. And boy, this is going to be an all-out war for everybody here. Everybody wants a piece of that playoff pie. It's right there. It's within almost everybody's reach. So,
and for the first time all year, we have broken the 2 Benjamin Franklin threshold. We are above 2 hours on this video.
We love you guys.
For the love of God, for the love of the Skype gods, please let there be a video. I will be so sad.
This will be very interesting to see. Oh,
We're
boy.
probably going to go into a 5-minute panic after this video. So thoughts and good vibes. Obviously, if you're watching, it worked.
Yeah, I mean,
we will just post pictures of our
little like
pieces of paper.
Yeah, like we're not doing this again. Here's the paper.
Nope.
Paper.
Nope.
That's
It's 11:15 p.m. We are done.
That's it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Special guests, thank you for tuning in, and I'm glad we got to you a little bit earlier since it is 11:15. Best of luck for everybody out there. Like I said, playoffs are in reach. This is for some teams, it's make it or break it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Best of luck to everyone out there.
Best of luck, man. And as always, go sports. Man.
Go sports, baby.
Yeah, baby.